everyone. Welcome to our coverage of the 2014 TradeWise Gibraltar Festival. We are at round 5 today, and currently at this halfway mark in the tournament, there are only 3 players on perfect scores: the Chinese Grandmaster Li Chao, the Israeli Maxime Rothstein, and the Argentinian Sandro Moreco. And behind them, there are actually 11 people on 3.5, they've lost only half a point, and a lot of very impressive looking names, a full point behind the leaders. For example, Michael Adams, Pavel Ilyanov, David Navarra, Gata Kamsky, and Evgeny Tomashevsky. And there are 9 ladies that have 3 points out of 4, so they're in that big group with Adams and Kamsky. So tell us about the games today, Simon.
Well, okay, there's going to be some great clashes yet again. It just seems to be getting more exciting every day. And today, well, the top ball game is obviously going to be very interesting to see if someone gets to 5 points and get a lead over the field. So that's Li Chao's game against Rothstein. Also, I really don't know the player on the next player on 4 points. This Sandro from Argentina. He beats Navarra yesterday, and it looked like it was a very convincing victory. So now he has Maxime to play with the black pieces, so it'd be interesting to see if he can do another upset there. We have Kevin Spraggett on board 4 against last year's winner Vichigov. So Kevin had this great game yesterday against Nigel Short, where he completely crushed Nigel Short in, I think it's 22 moves, and very interesting game, which I'm sure will be published in a lot of papers around the world. Board 3 as well, this is a clash of the big guns already. We have Movsesian versus Ivanchuk. So both these guys incredibly strong, and Ivanchuk has the black pieces, so that's a real clash of heavyweights. Just lower down, I mean, we will be keeping an eye on the top 15 boards mainly, but of personal interest to me is a game between 2 commentators. So we have Nigel Short, who's done well here in the past, and he's playing against Lawrence Trent. Lawrence Trent has black pieces, so I think Lawrence Trent was quite excited about this pairing, and Lawrence, it's the first time they've played, so I wonder if Lawrence can pull another upset out of the bag here, trying to take advantage of probably Nigel's bad run of games, well, especially his bad game yesterday.
You know, Simon, Lawrence actually already offered to trade places with me in the tournament, to give me his spot in the tournament and take my job over here. Yes, that was after his after his 3rd round loss to Alexei Dreyev.
Were you tempted?
No, no, I'm sorry. Couldn't make Lawrence happy. But actually, you know, Dreyev beat him on his birthday in a very long game.
Was it Lawrence's birthday?
No, it was Dreyev's birthday.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, it was Dreyev's birthday, and they had an extremely long game, and I think Lawrence just played very well, so you know, it's understandable that he was upset when he lost.
I think this commentating probably improves everyone's ELO by 100 points or so.
I hope so.
Well, maybe mine's the opposite, but I think, you know, it tends to help a lot of people anyway. So what other pairings are you interested in today, Irina? You mentioned there's a lot of ladies up there with 3 points. And
right, well, on board 10, yeah, I mean, most of the ladies have very difficult pairings today. On board 10, there's Evgeny Tomashevsky playing white against Maria Muzichuk. Board 11, Marie Sabag is playing white against Gata Kamsky. And on boards 14 and 15, for example, we have Zhu Chen playing white against Ivan Cheparinov. Zhu Chen drew rather quickly against her coach Victor Bologan yesterday. We were talking about how difficult it is to play friends.
Was it over 30 moves?
And coaches, I'm not sure, Simon, but I heard it was very quick.
Very quick, because there's a rule here where you're only allowed to agree a draw. I think it's after 30 moves, so you can't have a draw before that.
Unless there's a repetition. I'm actually not sure, because they were not playing the top 15 boards, and the PGN files don't go up immediately, so I didn't get to see their game last night.
That one may well have been a repetition.
Yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, the joke was that, you know, Bologan, his contract would be up, you know, if he did defeat his students. So,
he's got to keep his coaching job. So.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? This 30 move rule. Do you think it makes sense that people have to play? I mean, because what normally happens if people are going to agree a draw anyway, they just arrange some perpetual check and it's a draw. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea in principle to make people fight and to, you know, get this more exciting chess, but it doesn't always seem to work.
Well, no, of course in chess, if people really want to make a draw, they're going to find a way around that rule. I think that rule is mainly designed to circumvent the psychological weakness that people face over the board. You know, someone offers you a draw because maybe they're not so comfortable, maybe you're the lower rated player, you think maybe taking a draw is a good idea, and the game ends prematurely. Because a lot of games actually do end just due to the psychological shortcomings.
Isn't that a problem that most people should try to get over?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, so I think this 30 move rule is, you know, deals with that very adequately.
Yeah.
You just can't offer a draw, you got to keep playing, and by the time you get to 30 moves, well, you know, the game is in full throttle, you know.
Sure.
It's a lot less likely someone's going to be offering a draw when...
Yeah. And did you see the Ivanchik masterclass yesterday?
I watched part of it, yes.
I heard it's very interesting.
Yes.
So this is actually recorded as well, so you can go to the website and see Ivanchik's masterclass, where I think he actually he talked for about an hour and 40 minutes, so really good.
Part of it, I missed the chess part of it. I watched his discussion on droughts. Is that how you call it? What do you call that? Drafts?
Drafts, yeah. Drafts.
Is that like checkers? Is that like checkers? That's checkers.
That's
okay,
right,
that's what it is. I don't know why he keeps calling it drafts.
Yeah.
I'd never No, but you know, it's interesting because he's... Okay, don't laugh at me too much, Simon, about my horrible...
My pronunciation is...
I have one more word that I pronounce in a funny way. I did it for many years. Did you ever meet a guana pig?
Guinea pig?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you ever meet a... So I've met...
How did you say it? Guana?
A guana pig.
A guana.
Guana.
That sounds maybe even cuter.
Isn't there like a country? I thought maybe there were countries, like,
yeah.
But I guess not. You call them Papua New Guinea, right? You don't say...
Papua New Guinea, yeah. Papua New Ghana.
There's a Guyana in South America.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably why I thought it's pronounced like that, because of the country Guyana. So, small mistake of pronunciation.
Easy to do. I do it all the time, as we already know. So yeah, I mean, just looking at the points as well, as you mentioned, Irina, we have these 3 people on 4, so it's going to be very interesting to see if anyone gets to 5, they can already have quite a nice little edge on the field. Only sort of a small group on 3.5, but loads of people on 3 points. And this is really kind of the stage where, you know, you have to, if you're one of the big guns, one of these 2,700 players, you're going to have to try to start winning a number of games to get up there.
Yeah.
And, well, maybe we'll go straight into a game now. And let's just have a look at the board 1 clash between Li Chao and Maxim Rodstein. And, okay, so again, this is an exchange Slav, Irina. Does this make you happy? So, it doesn't make me happy, but okay. We saw Li Chao win a game against... Who did Li Chao play? Was
Maria Muzichuk.
Right, okay, earlier on, and using the exchange Slav, and actually exactly the same line that we see in this game.
Yeah.
So obviously Li Chao does play the exchange Slav to win, and that was actually a very tactical game and quite interesting, so it wasn't boring by any means, and Li Chao's very young. I think 89 Li Chao was born, so about 24 years old. And, okay, we see him again take on d5. So bishop to f4 was used. And we get the same position as we often get. Knight c3, and now, okay, last time we saw, I believe, bishop f5. Sorry, bishop g4.
Bishop g4, right.
Bishop g4.
I don't think it makes any difference. We're getting into exactly the same position, Simon.
Okay.
Yeah, because the queen comes out to b3.
Isn't there some bishops on f5 rather than g4?
There is no difference because it goes back to d7 and we get into queen c2.
Nice
and that's
points, yeah.
exactly the position that Li Chao had against Muzichuk. Yeah, the queen gets the nice square on c2, preventing the bishop from coming out again.
Yeah, and I guess the point behind this opening is White's just trying to say I've got a small edge because of the positioning of the bishop on d7 and the bishop on f4. Bishop on d7 is a bit passive because you can see it's stuck behind the pawn on the e6 and d5. Okay, it's bishop d3, bishop e7, and now h3 is to give the bishop a hiding square on h2. Rook c8. Knight to f3, developing normally, and b5. So
yeah, this is all typical.
Great, yeah. So Black's trying to grab some sort of space advantage on the queen side.
I've even seen games of Maria's sister Anna playing this line as Black.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Looks very logical just to try to get some space edge at least on the queen side here for Black. So bishop e8. So that's quite an interesting idea. We saw this again. This is nearly identical. Actually, maybe this position is identical.
It's possible. I mean, in that game, we saw Black playing knight d7. Well, a6, of course, needs to be included. knight d7, knight b6, knight ac4. I mean, it seemed like black had a fine position out of the opening there.
Yeah.
I'm sure Rothstein has seen that game.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine both sides moving very quickly because they've already played a number of moves, and I guess black's very happy just following.
Yeah, they basically have not spent any time at all.
No, just following this. It looks like just following the strategy from the earlier game, and black did seem to be fine there. So, okay, it'd be interesting to see if white can get anything out of this position, and you know, I kind of hope that white doesn't, because then we might have to start playing some proper openings in future. But okay, shall we move on to Maxime's game? Really well at the moment. And now we get a standard Sicilian.
We're back with the game Maxime Vachier-Lagrave versus Sandro Morecco, and they are in a Sicilian Scheveningen.
And yeah, like very solid opening for black here, and you know, this is a very theoretical position being played hundreds of times before.
I've never seen this move knight d to b5, Simon.
Right.
That's probably because I always have my pawn on a6 by this point.
Okay, so and
I don't know if it makes a big difference, and I'm not exactly sure why white has put his knight there.
No, because you'd imagine this move a6 is just going to like force the knight away again.
Maybe
so.
a4.
a6, knight to a3, and then to c4.
Wow.
Well, he's gone g4 very quickly. So this is going to be very interesting.
Right. So this is not like, it's not going to be a classical Scheveningen.
No, I mean, Maxime's going for a very aggressive setup.
And I don't think this is even that theoretical. I mean, I've just never seen this position before at all.
No, sure. And g4, g5 is, it looks like a very interesting idea. And obviously Maxime's prepared this because he's playing his moves extremely quickly. So this could be very sharp in counter here. And I think black's, very tactical player. Actually, most of these South American players tend to be tactical, as Elizabeth Patz said yesterday. And
yeah, she warned me when we were playing in the Blitz team. We were playing the Latin American team. I was playing Mehitarian, and she was playing Aldebs. And she told me before the game, watch out. He's this tactical player, So I made sure to play just very solid.
Yeah.
Against him.
Yeah, I mean, they tend to be very tactical, and they tend to move very quickly as well. So this is kind of two things. A bit like Brazilian football team. They play with a lot of flair. They move pass the ball around quickly. So I don't know. Maybe there's some similarity.
Really understand White's idea here that much. I mean, so what happens on a6?
Let's have a look. Yeah, I guess a6 is g5 a possibility. So a6 looks incredibly logical here. I mean, maybe g5. I don't know.
That looks just.
It looks a bit weakening as well.
Insane. Like, first of all, I can play knight takes e4. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just have a look.
My very worst option, I think, is this move knight takes e4.
So let's have a look. Knight takes e4.
Yeah. I mean, take your central pawn.
And now I will play knight takes e4. I just wonder, maybe tactically, white can generate.
A takes b5. I mean, with what pawn, Simon? You lack a big pawn in the center.
Yeah, I mean, I could take on b5, and yeah, I do agree. I do agree. Just looking at this position,
White's king is just going to be more dangerous than black's.
Yeah, I mean, this looks.
It can't be g5, so he must be going back to d4. Just the question is why.
There's no tactical. I don't think there's any tactical things here that White can try.
Here's an idea.
f5.
Instead on move 11, what if White tries bishop b6?
Bishop b6.
You're not trapping the queen though, and I'm ready to castle. Yes, it's a typical idea in the Sicilian.
Okay, so let's look at bishop b6 here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I have. Oh, maybe.
Sorry, instead of g5.
Yes, there is this move, bishop b6, right?
So let's look at bishop
typical
b6.
Sicilian idea. So we take. Actually, you do want to trap the queen.
Certainly
Now,
do.
sometimes
Bishop
in these
d7.
positions we go. Well, sometimes in these positions we go something like rook a5. We give back the material this way. Bishop d7. Could work here too, Simon. Why not develop? Let's try that.
Okay, and as a choice, I mean, we could even consider bishop c7 here. It's not so ridiculous. And
Bishop c7, queen c8.
well, yeah.
Also, your e4 pawn is kind of hanging there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just wondering if I can, sack a piece somehow, get enough counterplay, but I don't think so. I mean, I don't really believe that knight to c7 check and taking the rook is going to be anything for White. Let's just have a look at that. This is a way White can try to get some material back.
It is a losing line for White.
Yeah, it's just horrible. I mean, the two minor pieces are nearly always much stronger than the rook, and
especially in the middle game. In the middle game, they're stronger.
In the ending, actually, sometimes the rook can be better than the two minor pieces. Actually,
like we saw, for example,
Richard Report's game in the first round. Yeah, but I don't know. So I very much doubt if we did have this position after something like bishop d7, White would just capture that rook. He'd probably try some sacrificial line. I'm just wondering, can you go? Okay, e5 is not good. So bishop c7, you just go queen c8, and I have no obvious way forwards here. Okay, can't see any.
I mean, one of the problems is that a knight takes d6, bishop d6. Even though you're stopping black from castling, you lose your e4 pawn right away.
Yeah, this is a serious problem after knight takes e4.
No, I don't think White is going to go for anything that dramatic.
No. So what's the point then? What's the idea of White's play of going? Is he just going to drop back with a knight? Is this the idea? Do we just go knight d4 and say, well, okay, I've lost the tempo. But
yeah, it's hard to understand. I mean, there are some interesting things. For example, knight takes d4 and e5 would be a typical idea for black. I mean, right, that e5, because you actually, after bishop takes d4, White's already threatening g5, winning the g7 pawn.
I just wonder if I'd take with the queen or with the bishop. Maybe I can take the queen and put my queen on, or even take with the bishop and put my bishop on b6, one of these two ideas. So,
right, maybe that's actually the point of driving the queen to c7 is that you could try to trap it in there.
I can try to go here, and obviously if you take the pawn somehow on well, you can't take the pawn on g4. But I want to go, if you take on f4, I go, maybe go g5, the knight moves. The knight d7 is annoying, so otherwise I want to go knight d5. And
you can still go knight d5. I mean, you can still try, but maybe not. Because you know why? Because here there's a very strong move for black. Bishop takes g5.
Yeah.
That knight on b6 is worth more than the rook on a8. So black's not that afraid of that trade.
You are dropping e7 here, so I mean d6.
d6.
Sorry. So I can.
Well, hold on, Leah. Let's throw in. Let's just throw in a very strong check. Let's on h4. I might not even take your knight for a while. I might
go queen a7 mates, don't you? This is quite embarrassing.
Look at that. First of all, let's maybe bishop h3. This is beautiful. Yeah, this is really nice.
You go here, and then all of a sudden this queen
that's
avoids the knight.
Lovely.
And out of nowhere, it's virtually checkmate. Wow, how did that happen? So that was bizarre.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean it just shows that you can't give up your minor pieces for a rook in the opening like that. No, I don't think this is White's idea. So, have we any new moves in this position?
No, I mean, we'll come back to this game because we're still waiting on Black's reply after g4, and I'm sure
it seems very drastic, White's opening play. No, this knight b5 and g4.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive try, and I'm sure we'll soon see what the idea is behind this. Now, I was getting quite excited in Richard Report's game against Roman Eduardo.
But you should just admit, Simon, that you're preparing him, because, I mean, how else can you explain that he's playing all your openings?
He's playing a lot of my openings, but, I mean, this is Richard Report. Yesterday played an idea that I've tried a number of times, and here, in today's game, Richard Report has black and he's playing a strong player from France. So this is going to be a very interesting match. Both very young, and he plays into a position I know very well. So the Dutch, but after castles d3. This is where I was getting excited.
Because you thought he was going to play what?
I was hoping black would play d6 here.
D6.
And this is the line that I play as black. I play d6 and I play e5, and I try to checkmate white.
So can you explain to us, Simon, what's the advantage for black to have the bishop on e7 rather than on g6 like it is in the Leningrad Dutch?
So yeah, there's a big difference. In the Leningrad Dutch, you go g6 and put the bishop on g7. In this Dutch...
Is this called the classical Dutch?
Or? The classical Dutch, yeah. And, well, for a start, one of the main ideas in the classical Dutch is to go queen e8, queen h5, to put the queen near the white king and just try to checkmate the white king in some positions. And you cannot do that.
Oh, you also want to go d6, e5, and f4.
That's the idea. I mean,
it's a little bit like a white side of a Grand Prix Sicilian, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nearly the same as a Grand Prix, just reversed. And normally, I mean, this bishop here is quite a good